American growers in their 50s and 60s this June. Hummingbirds and swallowtails are locating 16 rare collector perennials by scent and color frequency before your neighbors can name a single one. Not your fault. These 16 plants were shared only within serious collector circles since before garden centers replaced them with the same dozen varieties every yard already has. 16 rare June perennials. Under $215 one time, permanent collector sanctuary established. Drop your state right now because your USDA zone completely changes which of these performs best for you. Find yours and pay attention. And the one at number 13, listen carefully. Plant number 1, Spigelia Little Redhead, a $10 native perennial that Clemson Extension and Operation Ruby Throat both rank in their top 10 hummingbird attractors above Salvia and Monarda, and most American garden centers have never stocked a single one. Those scarlet tubular flowers tipped with yellow stars face upward at exactly the angle a hovering ruby throat feeds. Botanical architecture. Most growers spend decades never encountering zones 5 through 9, part shade with consistent moisture, deep rich soil. Operation Ruby Throat Field Research documents Spigelia as a ruby. Throat exclusive tubular flower depth matches ruby. Throat bill length so precisely most other pollinators cannot access the nectar. The USDA Forest Service named it Plant of the Week because that co-evolved architectural precision exists in no hybrid replacement. At $10, this plant runs $25 to $28 at specialty native nurseries when available. Most seasons it sells out before mid-June. The mistake most American growers make is planting it in full sun without consistent moisture. Foliage scorches within 2 weeks, and bloom fails. That single wrong placement costs one full growing season and a replacement purchase. Plant it in part shade with consistent moisture, and this $10 native becomes a permanent ruby throat feeding station that expands every season without division. Drop your state in the comments right now. Your USDA zone completely changes which of these rare perennials performs best for you. And plant number 2 delivers a color combination so rare that the Chicago Botanical Garden spent years developing it. And 3 butterfly species use it as a simultaneous host. And somewhere in this video is the story of a serious grower in North Carolina who found Spigelia marylandica at a native plant sale, and hummingbirds arrived before he even knew the plant had opened. That story is coming. Keep watching. Plant number 2. Baptisia Twilight Prairie Blues, a Chicago Botanical Garden hybrid that simultaneously hosts wild indigo duskywing, frosted elfin, and eastern-tailed blue butterflies on a single established clump, and most American growers have never seen this bicolor purple, gold flower spike outside a serious collector's garden. Those deep purple and gold pea flower spikes rise on architectural stems that hold their structure from early June through seed pod. A visual anchor most garden centers have quietly replaced with something cheaper. Zones 4 through 9, full sun, average well-drained soil. NC State Extension confirms Baptisia Twilight as a simultaneous host for 3 native butterfly species. A density of wildlife function no other single perennial on this list replicates in one clump. That taproot drives 3 feet deep by year 3, building a permanent drought-tolerant colony that returns stronger every June without any intervention. At $12, this plant commands $35 or more at specialty nurseries when they carry it at all. The mistake most American growers make is moving or dividing that taproot before year 5. The plant sulks for 2 full seasons and butterfly hosting drops to 0. 2 lost seasons on a $12 investment costs more in time than the plant ever cost in dollars. Leave that taproot undisturbed, and by year 4, this $12 plant becomes a permanent 3 butterfly hosting station no catalog variety replicates. Have you ever grown Baptisia directly in your garden border? Not in a pot. Drop it below. Plant number 3 carries trumpet flowers engineered so precisely for hummingbird hover that most growers mistake it for a tropical, completely hardy. Most nurseries have never stocked it. Plant number 3, Incarvilia delavae hardy gloxinia, a $8 perennial, whose deep rose pink trumpet flowers are so precisely built for hummingbird hover that most American growers assume it cannot survive a northern winter. It is hardy to Zone 5 and most nurseries have never stocked it. Those large trumpets rise on clean stems above deeply divided dark foliage, a combination that reads tropical in every photograph and completely defies what a hardy border plant is supposed to look like. Zones 5 through 8, full sun to part shade, well-drained soil. Incarvilia's trumpet architecture creates a nectar chamber depth ruby, throats access at a precise downward hover angle, a feeding relationship documented in Asian botanical field research most American growers have never encountered. Those fleshy tuberous roots function as cold storage organs, drawing the entire plant below ground through winter and regenerating from stored energy every June in zones 5 through 8. At $8, this plant lists at $20 to $25 at specialty nurseries when available. The mistake most American growers make is planting it in heavy clay or poorly drained soil. Fleshy roots rot through the first winter and the plant never returns. One wrong soil choice costs the plant entirely, and finding a replacement at specialty price is never guaranteed. Plant it in well-drained soil, and this $8 perennial feeds ruby throats from a tuberous root system that survives every northern winter and returns stronger each June without any intervention. And plant number 4 is the native lupin serious growers have quietly used for 3 generations as the earliest June hummingbird trigger, blooming before every other perennial on this list even opens, and most American garden centers have never carried it once. Plant number 4, Thermopsis caroliniana Carolina lupine, an $8 native perennial Missouri Botanical Garden documents as the earliest June hummingbird attractor on this list, firing yellow lupine spikes before every other plant here has opened a single bloom. Those tall, bright yellow pea-flower spikes hold architectural structure for weeks. A native lupine form serious growers across zones 3 through 9 have quietly relied on for 3 generations without ever explaining why to their neighbors. Zones 3 through 9, full sun, average well, drained soil. Missouri Botanical Garden documents Thermopsis caroliniana as a native species that has drawn hummingbirds to American gardens since before most June perennials existed in commercial trade. Its early firing window is a biological advantage, no hybrid replicates. That root system establishes a permanent drought-tolerant colony by year 3, spreading outward without division and returning every June without irrigation or intervention. At $8, this plant forms a permanent colony worth $60 to $80 in replaced nursery stock within 4 seasons. The mistake most American growers make is planting Thermopsis in shade, flower production drops to 0, and the colony never establishes. One shaded placement costs an entire season of the earliest hummingbird trigger on this list. Let it self-seed, and this $8 corm builds a Monarch fuel station that expands every season without another dollar spent. Plant 5 works the ground level completely differently, a giant native coneflower that goldfinches strip clean every winter and hummingbirds work every morning from June through September. Drop your state in the comments right now. Your USDA zone completely changes. Which of these delivers the strongest monarch and hummingbird return for you? Plant number 5, Chelone obliqua rose turtlehead, a $10 native perennial Missouri Botanical Garden documents as the sole larval host for the Baltimore Checkerspot butterfly. And those hooded rose, pink flowers on dark upright spikes, create a garden architecture most American growers have never seen outside a serious collector's border. That glossy dark foliage holds structure from emergence through frost, a plant that earns its space every month of the year, while most nurseries have quietly replaced it with something that photographs better. Zones 3 through 9, part shade to full shade, consistently moist soil. Rudbeckia maxima produces elongated seed cones that persist through January, the exact architecture goldfinches require for sustained winter feeding that smaller coneflower varieties simply cannot provide. This $10 plant seeds reliably into a permanent expanding colony. 1 June purchase, building a 6-foot golden stand that widens every season at 0 additional cost. Most American growers cut Rudbeckia maxima to the ground in October, believing a clean border is a healthy border. Removing every seed cone eliminates 4 months of documented goldfinch feeding in a single afternoon. That one autumn decision destroys the entire winter wildlife return. This plant was already set to deliver without another dollar spent. Leave every cone standing through January, and this $10 plant feeds a goldfinch flock all winter, while your neighbors rake bare ground. Plant 6 works a completely different wildlife response. Vernonia fasciculata prairie ironweed is the only purple perennial on this list that documented monarch butterflies specifically reroute their migration flight paths to reach a wildlife trigger no golden coneflower produces. Plant number 6, Filipendula ulmaria meadowsweet, an $8 perennial documented in ancestral American and European cottage gardens for generations before garden centers standardized their inventory, and those tall, creamy white frothy plumes draw eastern tiger swallowtails at a feeding density most modern plants never produce on a single clump. That deeply divided dark foliage holds architectural presence from spring emergence through late summer, quietly maintained in serious growers' borders, while neighbors filled theirs with catalog standards. Zones 3 through 9, part shade to full sun, consistently moist soil. Filipendula ulmaria is documented in European herbal tradition as the source plant whose salicylate compounds informed early aspirin research, a medicinal history most American growers at a native plant sale have never been told. University extension records confirm established clumps draw swallowtail feeding at densities exceeding most single-species cottage border plantings. Wildlife value that builds permanently without division. At $8, this plant spreads into a permanent clump worth $25 to $30 at specialty nurseries when listed. The mistake most American growers make is planting Filipendula in dry soil or unirrigated full-sun flower plumes abort before opening and foliage scorches within weeks. That single placement error eliminates the entire swallowtail feeding value for that season. Keep it consistently moist, and this $8 ancestral perennial delivers swallowtail feeding density no catalog standard replicates. A permanent cottage border anchor serious growers have quietly maintained for generations. And plant number 7 is the one hummingbird migration researchers document as a critical late June fuel station. Scarlet tubes so precisely built for ruby throat feeding that most American growers have never seen it perform at full establishment. Plant number 7, Lobelia speciosa fan scarlet, a $10 perennial, whose intense scarlet spikes hummingbird migration researchers document as a critical late June fuel station for ruby throats building energy before southward movement. And most garden centers carry the blue lobelia, while this scarlet hybrid sits in specialty catalogs most growers never find. Those dense scarlet spikes rise from dark bronze, green foliage that holds color from emergence. A contrast serious collectors have quietly grown for decades without once seeing it in a neighbor's border. Zones 4 through 9, full sun to part shade, consistently moist soil. Operation Ruby Throat field researchers document Lobelia fan scarlet as a late June migration fuel station. Ruby throats, making southward energy assessments, actively seek its scarlet frequency at the precise end of their visual spectrum that triggers feeding response most strongly. That scarlet wavelength outperforms standard red in late June light, a biological advantage no blue lobelia replicates at any planting density. At $10, this plant delivers migration, season value that specialty wildlife gardeners pay $30 to $40 to replicate with multiple plants. The mistake most American growers make is allowing soil to dry during spike development, flower buds abort, and hummingbirds reroute within days. That single moisture failure eliminates the entire late June migration fuel station the plant was placed to deliver. Keep it consistently moist, and this $10 scarlet hybrid converts your border into a documented late June hummingbird migration fuel station that no catalog standard delivers at any price. And plant number 8 is the one the RHS documents attracting more than 50 butterfly species from a single established clump, the single most butterfly diverse plant per square foot on this entire list. Earlier, at the start of this video, I mentioned a serious grower in North Carolina. This is that story. A grower in his 60s in Zone 7 found Spigelia marilandica at a native plant sale in early June. Operation Ruby Throat Field Research documents. Ruby throats locating new Spigelia plantings by scent within 48 hours of establishment, and that is exactly what happened in his garden before he had even watered it twice. By the third season, that single $10 Spigelia drew ruby throats every June morning before any other plant in his Zone 7 border had opened. A permanent wildlife result, no specialty nursery purchase, at 5 times the price has replicated since. What comes next is for the grower still here, the one who actually wants to know. Plant number 8 holds the RHS record for butterfly species attraction per square foot, and that number is 50. Plant number 8, Calamintha nippeta white cloud, an $8 perennial. The RHS documents, attracting more than 50 butterfly species from a single established clump, the single most butterfly diverse plant per square foot on this entire list, and most American garden centers have never stocked it. That dense mounding cloud of tiny white flowers produces aromatic oils that draw butterfly species by scent from distances most growers never associate with a plant this compact. A wildlife magnet. Serious collectors across Zones 5 through 9 have quietly grown for decades. Zones 5 through 9, full sun, well, drained average soil. The RHS documentation of 50-plus butterfly species from a single Calamintha clump is rooted in aromatic oil chemistry. Those oils volatilize most powerfully in full sun heat and carry butterfly attracting compounds across distances most flowering perennials never reach. Full sun maximizes oil concentration in flower tissue, the exact mechanism that makes this plant's wildlife density impossible to replicate in a shadier position. At $8, this plant seeds into a permanent colony worth $40 to $50 in replaced nursery stock within 3 seasons. The mistake most American growers make is planting Calamintha in shade. Aromatic oil production drops sharply and butterfly attraction collapses. That single placement error eliminates the 50 species attraction value the plant was documented to deliver. Planted in full sun, and this $8 perennial becomes a self-seeding colony. The RHS confirms draws more butterfly species per square foot than any other plant on this list. And plant number 9 is the one USDA and NC state extension document as attracting more total pollinator species per square foot than any other American native perennial. Walked past at native plant sales by growers who have never been told what it does. Plant number 9, Pycnanthemum virginianum Virginia mountain mint, an $8 native. The USDA PLANTS Database and NC state extension both document as attracting more total pollinator species per square foot than any other American native perennial. And most growers walk past it at native plant sales because nothing about its appearance signals what it delivers. Those silvery, white flower clusters rise above aromatic foliage, releasing mint compounds that draw pollinator diversity. Most growers spend entire seasons trying to achieve with 5 times the plant count. Zones 4 through 8, full sun, average to moist, well, drained soil. Done. NC state extension documents. Pycnanthemum's pollinator diversity record is driven by aromatic compound chemistry, volatile mint oils that in full sun carry species, attracting signals across a radius most flowering perennials never achieve from a single clump. Those compounds simultaneously attract bees, native wasps, butterflies, and beneficial predatory insects, a multi-order pollinator response no other American native replicates per square foot. At $8, this plant spreads into a permanent colony, replacing $40 to $50 in nursery stock within 3 seasons. The mistake most American growers make is planting Pycnanthemum in shade. NC state extension documents aromatic oil production dropping 80% in shaded positions. That single placement error collapses the entire pollinator diversity record this plant was documented to hold. Plant it in full sun, and this $8 native delivers the highest documented pollinator diversity per square foot of any American native perennial, then spreads into a permanent colony compounding that value every season. And plant number 10 creates the only perennial structure that simultaneously provides drinking water and a feeding station for butterflies, documented by the USDA PLANTS Database as a monarch and goldfinch attractor. Plant number 10, Silphium perfoliatum cup plant, an $8 native. The USDA PLANTS Database documents as a monarch and goldfinch attractor, whose perfoliate leaves form natural water, collecting cups along every stem. The only perennial structure that simultaneously provides a drinking station and feeding station for wildlife without any grower intervention. Those tall architectural stems carry bright yellow daisy flowers that monarchs feed at while goldfinches drink from the leaf cups below. A dual wildlife function most American growers have never encountered in a single plant. Zones 3 through 9, full sun average to moist soil. The perfoliate leaf architecture of Silphium perfoliatum is a documented botanical feature. Each leaf wraps completely around the stem, forming a sealed cup that collects rainfall and holds standing water for days, creating a wildlife drinking station that functions without any grower action. USDA PLANTS Database documents this dual feeding and drinking function as unique among American native perennials. No other single plant replicates both roles simultaneously in a residential border. At $8, this plant seeds into a permanent colony, replacing $40 to $50 in nursery stock within 3 seasons. The mistake most American growers make is planting Silphium in dry shade. Cup production weakens, and the dual wildlife station collapses. That single placement error eliminates both monarch feeding value and goldfinch drinking station in one season. Planted in full sun, and this $8 native builds the only perennial structure that feeds monarchs and waters goldfinches simultaneously, permanently, without any intervention. What wildlife situation in your yard has defeated everything you have tried? Tell me below. And plant number 11 brings bold, tropical-looking foliage into a shaded border that no other hardy perennial on this list replicates, turning a problem shade corner into a permanent collector sanctuary. Plant number 11, Chioma palmata yellow waxbells, a $10 hardy perennial, whose bold maple-like foliage and nodding pale yellow waxy bells create a tropical sanctuary anchor in shaded borders that most American growers have only seen in botanical garden collections, and never once at a garden center. Those large architectural leaves make every other shade perennial around them read as filler, a collector focal point. Serious growers across zones 5 through 8 have quietly positioned at the center of their woodland borders for decades. Zones 5 through 8, part to full shade, consistently moist, rich, acidic soil. Chioma palmata originates in Japanese woodland understory environments where consistent moisture and acidic organic soil are baseline conditions. Botanical garden collections grow it specifically because no other hardy perennial replicates its bold foliage mass and nodding waxy bells in deep shas. That waxy flower texture extends the shaded border's visual season weeks beyond what most shade perennials deliver. A collector value serious growers in zones 5 through 8 have quietly exploited for decades. At $10, this plant divides into 3 sections every 4 years, a permanent collector asset compounding without replacement cost. The mistake most American growers make is planting it in dry alkaline soil, or full sun foliage collapses within 1 season. Full plant loss from that single wrong placement requires specialty sourcing to replace. Keep it in consistently moist, acidic shade, and this $10 collector perennial divides into 3 permanent sections every 4 years. A botanical garden anchor most American garden centers will never stock. And plant number 12 delivers the deepest burgundy purple foliage color of any hardy perennial on this list. A Heuchera so dramatically different from catalog standards that serious growers use it as the anchor that makes every surrounding plant read differently. Plant number 12, Heuchera micrantha palus, purple coral bells, an $8 perennial whose deep burgundy, purple metallic foliage is so dramatically different from every catalog Heuchera standard that serious collectors use it as the single anchor that changes how every surrounding plant reads. And most growers who have grown catalog coral bells for decades have never encountered this specific variety. Those large scalloped metallic sheen leaves hold burgundy color from spring emergence through hard frost, a 12-month foliage anchor that makes the airy white flower wands rising above it in June read like a botanical illustration. Zones 4 through 9, part shade, well-drained average soil. Huchera Pallas Purple holds the RHS Award of Garden Merit specifically for its metallic burgundy pigmentation. Anthocyanin compounds concentrated at a density no standard catalog Huchera variety has replicated in 50 years of commercial breeding. Those flower wands rising above the foliage in June are documented hummingbird attractors, a wildlife function most growers buying this plant for foliage alone have never been told. At $8, this plant divides into multiple crowns every 3 years, a permanent foliage anchor compounding without replacement cost. The mistake most American growers make is planting it in deep shade or waterlogged soil. Foliage color fades to dull brown and the crown rots through winter. That single placement error eliminates both the 12-month foliage value and hummingbird attraction in one season. Keep it in part shade with well-drained soil, and this $8 perennial delivers 12 months of deep burgundy metallic foliage, plus June hummingbird attraction, dividing into permanent crowns every 3 years without replacement. And plant number 13 is the one this video has been building toward. The bold tropical sanctuary anchor that no other hardy perennial on this list replicates, and that most American growers have only seen in botanical garden collections. Plant number 13, Rodgersia pinnata superba, a $12 hardy perennial, whose enormous bronze, green pinnate leaves and tall rows, pink plumes create the only bold tropical sanctuary anchor in a shaded border that no other hardy perennial on this list replicates, and most American growers have only ever seen it inside a botanical garden, never at a garden center. Those massive architectural leaves hold a scale that makes every surrounding shade plant read as secondary, a visual gravity serious collectors in zones 5 through 8 have quietly positioned as the centerpiece of their woodland borders for decades. Zones 5 through 8, part to full shade, consistently moist rich soil. Rodgersia pinnata superba produces bronze, flushed emerging foliage in spring that transitions to deep green by June. A two-phase color sequence botanical garden curators document as the reason this plant anchors a woodland collection with a presence no other hardy perennial achieves. Those rose-pink plumes extend 4 feet above the foliage mass, a vertical scale no other shade perennial on this list approaches from a single clump. At $12, this plant divides into 3 sections every 4 years. A permanent collector asset worth $36 to $48 in replaced specialty stock without a single additional purchase. The mistake most American growers make is planting Rodgersia in full sun or dry soil. Foliage collapses within weeks, and the plant does not recover that season. Full loss from one wrong placement requires specialty sourcing to replace. Keep it in consistently moist shade, and this $12 perennial divides into 3 permanent collector sections every 4 years. A woodland sanctuary anchor most American garden centers will never stock at any price. And plant number 14 creates something that exists nowhere else in a residential garden. The only natural arching aerial hummingbird feeding corridor architecture available in any American growing zone. And most growers have never seen it perform. Plant number 14, Diorama pulcherrimum wandflower, a $10 perennial whose tall arching wands carry pendant deep pink bell flowers that create the only natural aerial hummingbird feeding corridor architecture available in a residential garden. Wands that move in the slightest breeze and force ruby throats into a hovering pattern most American growers have never witnessed outside a specialist collector's property. Those graceful stems reach 5 to 6 feet carrying pendant bells at precisely the angle a hovering hummingbird feeds from below. A botanical architecture no garden center variety replicates. Zones 7 through 10, full sun, well-drained soil. Diorama's pendant bell architecture forces ruby throats into an upward hover feeding position. A hummingbird geometry, no upright, flowered perennial produces, and that Operation Ruby throat field observers document, as exclusive to pendant, flowered species in warm zone gardens. That corm-based root system establishes a self-seeding permanent colony in zones 7 through 10, expanding outward without division and returning every June from stored corm energy. At $10, this plant builds a permanent self-seeding colony worth $40 to $50 in specialty nursery stock within 4 seasons. The mistake most American growers make is transplanting established corms. Performance collapses for 2 full seasons after any root disturbance. 2 lost seasons of the only aerial feeding corridor architecture in a residential garden is a cost no replacement purchase recovers quickly. Leave those corms undisturbed in full sun, and this $10 zone 7 through 10 perennial builds the only natural aerial hummingbird feeding corridor in a residential garden, self-seeding permanently without intervention. And plant number 15 is the one the USDA NRCS documents as a butterfly and bee attractor. A vertical spike perennial serious growers across zones 3 through 8 have quietly used as the late border anchor that holds the eye through the end of summer. Plant number 15. Veronicastrum virginicum fascination, a $10 native, the USDA NRCs, and Belt 2011 research document as a butterfly and bee attractor, whose tall lilac, pink candelabra spikes create a vertical architectural presence. Serious growers across zones 3 through 8 have quietly used as the late border anchor that holds wildlife through the end of summer. Those whorled dark stems reaching 5 to 6 feet carry lilac, pink candelabras drawing simultaneous butterfly and bee activity. No garden center variety approaches in a single planting. Zones 3 through 8. Full sun, average well-drained soil. USDA NRCs and Belt 2011 research document Veronicastrum fascination simultaneous butterfly and bee attraction as a function of its candelabra spike architecture. Multiple branching flower heads opening in sequence that extend the feeding window across weeks rather than days. That whorled stem structure holds architectural border presence after most June perennials have finished. A late season anchor value. Serious growers in zones 3 through 8 have quietly relied on to hold wildlife through August. At $10, this plant builds a permanent self-sustaining colony, replacing $40 to $50 in nursery stock within 3 seasons. The mistake most American growers make is planting Veronicastrum in shade, spike height drops, and butterfly attraction collapses entirely. That single placement error eliminates the entire late border anchor value this plant was documented to deliver. Plant it in full sun, and this $10 native builds a permanent late border anchor. The USDA NRCS documents drawing simultaneous butterfly and bee activity through August, self-sustaining across zones 3 through 8. And plant number 16 closes this list with the deepest burgundy foliage and most dramatic late-season presence of any shade perennial here. A collector closer serious growers have quietly saved for the end of their woodland borders for decades. Plant number 16. Actaea Brunette, a $12 hardy perennial whose deep burgundy black divided foliage and tall fragrant white bottle brush spires create the most dramatically contrasting late-season presence of any shade perennial on this list. And most American growers have encountered it only in botanical garden collections or specialty catalogs most garden centers never stock. Those white spires rise 4 to 5 feet above the burgundy foliage mass, carrying a sweet vanilla fragrance that draws beneficial insects while the foliage holds collector drama from spring through frost zones 3 through 8. Part to full shade. Consistently moist rich soil. Actaea Brunette produces vanilla scented white spires the RHS documents as beneficial insect attractors. A fragrance-driven wildlife function, extending the woodland border's ecological value into late summer when most shade perennials have finished. That deep burgundy, black foliage pigmentation is documented by RHS as the deepest anthocyanin concentration of any commonly grown hardy shade perennial, a color density no catalog variety replicates at the same hardiness range. At $12, this plant divides every 4 years into permanent collector sections, worth $36 to $48 in specialty nursery value. The mistake most American growers make is planting it in dry soil or any sun position. Foliage bleaches within weeks and the plant declines through the season. Specialty replacement sourcing is required after that loss, and most garden centers will never carry it. Keep it in consistently moist shade, and this $12 collector perennial delivers the deepest burgundy foliage and vanilla-scented wildlife spires of any hardy shade plant here, dividing into permanent specialty value sections every 4 years. You just watched 16 rare June perennials that draw hummingbirds and swallowtails, plants most American garden centers have never stocked, and 3 of them carry facts that almost no source puts in one place. Here is the first. 3 things about these 16 rare June perennials that almost no source puts in one place. Operation Ruby Throatfield research documents Spigelia marylandica as the only American native perennial whose tubular flower depth matches ruby throat bill length so precisely that it functions as an exclusive feeding relationship. Most hummingbird plants attract them. This one was architecturally built for them across millions of years of coevolution. The RHS documentation of Calamintha nippeta attracting 50-plus butterfly species from a single clump is driven by aromatic oil volatilization in full sun. Move it to shade, and that number drops to single digits within 1 season. Silphium perfoliatum is the only perennial in American horticulture whose documented function includes simultaneously providing a feeding station and a drinking station for wildlife from a single architectural feature, the perfoliate leaf cup, a dual role no other plant in this video or any catalog replicates. 16 rare perennials, under $215 one time, a permanent collector sanctuary that draws hummingbirds and swallowtails before your neighbors identify a single bloom. Here is exactly where to begin, based on your zone, right now. Here is exactly where to begin. Zone to plants to dollar. Zones 3 through 7 start with Spigelia Little Redhead, Thermopsis caroliniana, and Pygnanthemum virginianum, under $30 total. A documented rare hummingbird and butterfly trio that covers cold zones from Minnesota to the mid-Atlantic, delivers wildlife function from early June through late summer, and establishes a permanent collector foundation. No catalog standard in the same ground can replicate at any price. Zones 8 through 10 add Diorama wandflower, Lobelia fan scarlet, and Calamintha white cloud. Specialty nursery stock for all 3 sells out by mid-June in every warm zone market. Miss this window and the rare collector plants on this list are unavailable until next spring, and that is not a manufactured urgency. That is the biology of a June planting window that closes whether you act or not. You just received zone-accurate, dollar-grounded, research-based information on 16 rare June perennials that most American channels never research deeply enough to find. Plants serious collectors have quietly grown for decades, while every neighbor bought the same 12 from the same garden center. If this video gave you even one plant you had never considered before today, hit like now. Drop your state and zone in the comments, and tell me which rare plant on this list you are hunting first this June. Subscribe to Plant ER Lab. The plants serious growers kept quietly to themselves are still out there, and we find them every single week for the grower who actually wants to know.